Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rev Games Academy. Today, we're going to learn how to add and manipulate sprites in Unity. This is essential for any 2D game, and I'll walk you through the entire process step by step. So, without further ado, let's dive into Unity. I've already imported a couple of images into Unity from my file explorer, but before we can use them in our game, we need to make sure they're set up as sprites. Click on your image in the Assets folder. On the Inspector panel on the right, you'll see the Texture Type property. Click the drop-down next to Texture Type, and it should say Default right now. You'll see several options, but select Sprite 2D and UI. This is what tells Unity to treat this image as a sprite for your 2D game. This is an important step because Unity needs to know that the image will be used as a 2D sprite, not just as a regular texture. Next, you'll see a sprite mode property with a dropdown. So for now, we're going with single because we're working with a single sprite. But if you're creating a sprite sheet or multiple sprites from one image, multiple would be your choice. Now let's set the pixels per unit value. Pixels per unit controls how many pixels in your sprite correspond to 1 unit in Unity's world space. By setting pixels per unit to 200, we're making sure that the sprite's size matches the scale in Unity without needing extra adjustments. At bottom, you'll see the compression settings. Set compression to low quality for faster processing. Set compression to high quality if you want to preserve the image's visual quality, but it might take a bit longer to process. For now, I'll go with high quality so we don't lose any image details, but if you're working on a game with lots of sprites, you might want to optimize and use low quality for performance. So once you've made all your adjustments, don't forget to click Apply at the bottom of the inspector. This will save all your settings and convert the image into a usable sprite. And there we go. Now our image is ready to use as a sprite in Unity. Now let's bring our sprite into the scene. Simply drag your sprite from the Assets folder and drop it into the scene or the hierarchy. Once you drop it, Unity automatically creates a game object with a sprite render component attached to it. This is what allows your sprite to be displayed in the game. Once it's in the scene, you can easily move it around by selecting the sprite and using the Move tool to position it exactly where you want in your game world. When you select your sprite in the hierarchy, you'll notice a sprite render component in the inspector. Here you can make various adjustments. If you want to change the sprite, simply drag a new one from your Assets folder and drop it into the sprite field in the sprite render component. You can also change the color of the sprite directly in the color field. If you want to flip your sprite in the X or Y direction, like making it face the opposite way, you can check the flip X or flip Y boxes right in the inspector. Now, sometimes after adding the sprite, you may notice that it's not visible, especially if there are other objects in front of it. Don't worry, though. In the sprite render component, you'll see an option called Order and Layer. If your sprite isn't visible, just increase the value of the order and layer to make sure it's rendered in front of other objects in the scene. For now, though, our sprite should be visible as it is, but this comes in handy when you're working with multiple objects in the scene. Now, let's add some more sprites into the scene so you can better understand how the order and layer property works. In my project, I already have some background images, but first we need to change them to sprites. Select all the images, change the texture type to Sprite, 2D and UI, then click Apply, and that's it. Now, let's drag each image into the scene. But wait! You might notice that some sprites are not visible in the scene view. Why? Because their order and layer is the same as other sprites, causing them to be drawn behind. To fix this, select the sprite that isn't visible and increase the order and layer property to 1 or higher if needed. And there you go. Now everything looks perfect. And that's it. You've now successfully added and manipulated your sprite in Unity. It's all ready to be a part of your game, and you can start creating some cool 2D gameplay. And that's a wrap for today's tutorial on adding and manipulating sprites in Unity. In the next video, we'll dive into how to add colliders and rigid body components to your player to make your game interactive and physics-driven. So don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more tutorials, and drop a comment if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.